Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As promised, this video will be about explaining the cost of the mini loaders and how much time it took me to build it, and also going over all of the mistakes that I've made and what I would have done differently. So let's get started. So here's the spreadsheet of all of the components and how many of them and how much it cost me, and then also the weight of the item that go into the loaders, which given me an estimate weight of the whole machines. Total cost that I've spent out of pocket for the machines total out to be about $4,500. That seemed a little bit high, but that included the battery and everything. So it's the commercial machine, they could go up all the way. For a new machine, it'll be like $30,000, and even for a good used one, you're still looking at like $15,000 to $17,000. I'm not saying that my machine is going to be as good as the commercial machine, but seeing it's electric, and if you go and search for those electric mini loader, they don't even have the price listed. That kind of tell you that it's really, really expensive for the electric version. So for me, I think $4,500, and then about maybe 250 to 300 hours that I put in. I thought it was a good deal. And then the machine came out to be about 1,000 to 1,100 pounds. It's not that heavy. It's a lot lighter than the commercial machine. Usually they're like in the 1,800 pounds range. So let's talk about mainly the frame. Angle iron or the U-shaped frame, and frame it together instead of one piece. Just mainly because my CNC machine have a very small cutting area and it can't cut a big sheet. But if I start over, I would definitely draw everything out first on my CAD and then just send it to a machine shop. So let them, use a plasma or a water jet and cut out a one piece. But if I start over, I'll definitely cut out with one sheet. You'll just make everything stronger, and then you don't have to do all of the covering like I'm doing right here. As you can see, I'm doing the clear plexiglass as the cover for the front, and that's probably one of a kind. I don't think I've ever seen a construction machine with a clear cover see-through like this. The bottom plate that I use, which is a 1/8, which is about 3 millimeter thick on the bottom. I found it out that's actually flexing, is because where I have the drive motor mount onto the bottom, so it was kind of flexing. So I end up having two 5 millimeter plates, another plates, and another sheet to just lay right on top of it and weld all of the corners together. There's a lot of reinforcement as well. As you can see, the first motor mount that I built wasn't quite strong enough. So this was the first version right here, and it was just 3 millimeter on the bottom and then 5 millimeter for the post here. Even though it works, but it was just still flexing on the low, and it caused kind of quite a bit of problems. So I end up having to beef up the motor mount, and then I have to do a crossbar that's going right across there to tie the two motor mount together. So I double up on the thickness of the plates, from the 3 millimeter to like 6 millimeters, and then for the two pillar going up, they're 10 millimeters, so they're fairly thick. Commercially, when they built the big skid steer, what they do is they have the motor, the driven motor, fixed here, and then the wheel hub can move back and forth just a little bit to do the chain tensioning. The way how I design mine is kind of stupid actually. I have the wheel hub fixed, and then by racing the motor up and down to change the tension of the change, you can't just independently try to tension the front or the back independently. Once you raise it up, you have to change the tension of both of them. However, I do have the option of moving my motor mount back and forth just a little bit to make up for that difference. You want to get the lowest RPM as possible for the drive motor. That's one of the mistakes that I make. I didn't pay attention to that, so I had to repurchase a lower RPM hydraulic motors. However, the second mistake that I make is I bought too big of a motor, which means the displacement of the driven motor, it's like 9.4 cubic. So it's quite too big, and now that my pump doesn't quite have enough float to fully utilize the potential, the torque potential of the hydraulic motor. So you want something that will match your pump flow rate. I went with 1.5-inch hydraulics line, and I think I could have get away with a 3/8. I think a 3/8 would be a better for this machine because a 1.5 might have been just a little bit too big, and it's pretty bulky. It's pretty hard to keep everything nice and neat. The thing you might have noticed is you see I've cut the top portion of the bucket here. Commercially, they built the bucket. They make it really low profile. Like the bucket would just get up this tall and slanted all the way down. So their bucket is fairly small. The reason why I realized after I built my bucket is they did that because so you can look down from where you're standing and you can see the blade of your bucket. So when you dig, actually see what you're doing. If you're gonna build one of this thing and you want to do an expansion where you would have like a grapple or some type of attachment like what I'm planning to do, instead of a 4-spool, I should have went with like a 5 or a 6-spool. If I want to add extra attachment, at least one more valve if you want to control one attachment, and obviously another one if you want to control a second attachment. So now I have two options: either replace this with a 6-spool valve or add in like 1 or 2 more valve on the side, which is just kind of a headache.